fund TSA and most of the Department of Homeland Security.
But the legislation excludes funding for ICE and Border Patrol.
So Peter Doocy joins us live from the White House as the bill heads for a vote in the House. Peter, at 2 a.m., where were you?
I was asleep. Just
Tell
where
the
were
truth.
you at 2 a.m. on a work day?
I was probably hitting snooze at 2 a.m. but that's what they did. They worked until 2 a.m. and passed something.
Appreciate the honesty all around.
I was asleep and I just woke up in a cold sweat like, oh my goodness, what happened in the Senate? But they're tired of waiting here at the White House. And so President Trump, while this legislation snakes its way through, is Houston, 39% at Houston's other airport, and 40% in Atlanta. Democrats look at this, though, and they say it is not their fault.
Senate Democrats were clear. No blank check for a lawless ICE and Border Patrol. This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and the ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe.
And we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the House. It seems like they will get there eventually. But when you look at President Trump's executive order late last night to pay TSA agents, this is the rare Trump executive order where you don't hear Democrats immediately coming out to say, this is illegal, this is crazy, how can Trump do this? Because if somebody sues to try to stop him, they will be stopping TSA officers who have not been getting paid for 40 days from getting paid. Back to you.
It was a good move to push every crime across the finish line. But, Peter, they weren't going to leave anyway, right? They couldn't have left without a deal. Don't you agree?
Absolutely they could leave. They leave all the time. They leave all the time. Yes, absolutely. And that is because you look at this, the lines have been bad for weeks, and neither side really thinks that they are getting enough of the blame to stay and just say, okay, we need to make this stop. They've been fighting it out, and they go into these closed meetings. The small groups of Republicans with small groups of Democrats, they go into these closed meetings and they come out and we hear that there's no progress and they're stuck and that Republicans have made their final offer, Democrats have made their final offer, they're not going to budge. So, yes, I think if this was not happening, they absolutely would have gone home for the weekend.
It's unbelievable. Thanks, Peter. As we look at George Bush Terminal in Houston, Texas, they don't care about us. It's very clear. They go to the front of the line. When they go, they don't have to deal with the lines unless they're flying Delta, and they still get paid. So they don't care that people have missed 2 paychecks, and that's not even including the one that happened, the shutdown before that.
To move forward. They just couldn't get it done, and he said enough is enough. And so late last night, you saw the Senate come back and actually pass something. The Democrats didn't get any of their policy extras that they wanted in there. They passed so they could fund TSA. Hopefully the House will do the same today. I haven't seen the president's executive order just yet, but none of that would have happened if the president hadn't stood up yesterday.
Well, and this is a high-stakes political game that the left are playing here because they're playing it with our security. I mean, you go back to 9/11 when you saw airlines with these planes hijacked. And right now we have a lot of threats to the homeland with the war in Iran as well. We've already seen terrorist attacks in Austin, Texas, Virginia, Michigan, here in New York City with the attempted bomb throwing. So it's a high-stakes game that they're playing. But it's interesting, after President Trump said that he was going to declare this national emergency to get the TSA agents paid, then the Senate was like, oh, okay, let's come up with this deal in the middle of the morning, I guess, to get this done. And I asked Chris Sununu as well, should we privatize security? And he said, yes, that may be the direction that we're going in. We've seen the TSA agents so far in all these 3 longest shutdown fights become political collateral in these fights as well, Brian.
There's no reforms. So there's no extending the training of ICE, which they wanted. There's no taking up the masks. There's no judicial warrants. What they did is not fund it. Really? You had that deal weeks ago. Number 2 is it's going to be funded anyway through a reconciliation bill that's going to be brought up as late as July, probably in the spring, and it's going to get funded anyway. And if people want to know about the Save America Act, they could add that to
go through the Save America Act.
And what you do is you lead with the budget, and then you jam it in the back.
I'll just make one other point that the vote in the Senate was done through voice vote, partly probably because it was so early in the hours of the morning, but it's not recorded. So you don't have the recorded yay or nay. So it also gives a little bit
of cover.
Yeah, a little bit of cover, a little bit of face saving to these Democrats on the left.